Hello, my friends. I'm so glad you can be here with me today. What I'm going to talk about today is visions, the visions that I've had. I want each and every one of you to know that the following events occurred in my life, not because I was a strong child of God, but because I was a very weak child when I came back to God. One day, I decided to pray for this couple in my church that was getting a divorce. They had a little baby, and I know how divorce can destroy people. So I went out on my porch, and I was praying for each one of the people. I prayed for the husband, then I prayed for the wife, and then I prayed for the baby. Well, while I was doing this, God took my spirit, and my spirit went upward, and I was half in my body and half out of my body. I know that sounds strange, but that's what happened. And this sheer ecstasy went up through me. It was fantastic. And God spoke, and He told me, this is what it feels like at the moment of death. This was a fantastic, unique experience. I wasn't praying about anything concerning death. I had nothing about death on my mind, but God said, this is what it feels like at the moment of death. It was fantastic, everybody. The next experience I am going to share with you changed my life. Even though I returned to God, I would get lonely. I got depressed. I was by myself. I drove around with nowhere to go. Then I decided I would go to the Baptist Hospital Chapel. The reason I chose this is this chapel was very special to me years ago. My sister was in a car wreck. We didn't expect her to live. While my mother and I were in the chapel together, we both felt that God told us she would live, and she did. So I decided to drive to Baptist Hospital and just pray. So I went into the chapel, and I got on my knees, and I started praying. And my eyes were blinded. This didn't scare me. I knew this was from God. And in front of me appeared 7 men. I call them 7 men of eternity. A face of a man would come on for a few seconds, and then it would go off, and then a different man would come on for just a few seconds, it would go off, and this happened over and over and over. I don't know why I would even think of this, but I wondered if God would take it away if I counted them. So I counted them, and there were 7 men of eternity. The second and third man, each time they came on, I would just say, which one is John the Baptist? The next to the last man, I would always say Abraham. Each man had a beard but one, and he only had a mustache. When I looked into the face of each man, they were ageless. They were not old. They were not young. They were ageless. I felt like I was seeing eternity in each one of their faces. And this went over and over for a while, and then it stopped. Well, when it stopped, I was more amazed. I wasn't depressed anymore. So I got up and I left the Baptist chapel, and I was going to leave the hospital. And then I realized I had not thanked God for this experience. So I turned around and I went back to that chapel, never expecting anything like this to ever happen to me again. I got on my knees and my eyes were blinded again. This time I saw Jesus. I saw Jesus holding a staff, looking very worried. I saw Jesus holding a lamb, looking very peaceful. Then I saw what I call the compassionate Jesus. I was looking into the face of Jesus and seeing his eyes. I felt unconditional love. I felt pure love. I felt love that you cannot experience here on earth. I was completely and totally loved beyond my imagination. Everything I ever wanted was in the eyes of Jesus. Then I was told that this feeling that I was feeling, this feeling of being completely loved and adored, actually, was what we will feel like throughout heaven. That's when I realized, between the first experience of leaving my body and this experience, I lost my fear of death. I didn't have any reason to fear anymore. Then, and I want to tell each of you, Jesus looked different each time. His hair was a different length. He sort of even looked different in his facial features. But it was the compassionate Jesus that I yearned for. As I was seeing the pictures of Jesus would go on and off, just like the 7 men of eternity. But each time I would see the picture of the Jesus with the staff and Jesus with the lamb, I would yearn in my spirit to see the compassionate Jesus, to look into the eyes of Jesus. Then I had another experience. I was sitting in my house on the sofa, and I had a friend over, and we were watching television. And I looked up, and I saw a door whiter than white. It went from the bottom of my floor through my ceiling. It was open 4 inches and had no doorknob. In my spirit, I had great desire to get up and go look to see what was in that door. But I looked at my friend and I realized that he would think I was completely out of my mind. So when I looked back at the door, it was gone. To this very day, I do not know the meaning of that vision. On my next video, I would like to share with you angels coming into my home. It was a unique experience. It was wonderful. I can't express how much I want you to come back and watch the next video. I want each and every one of you to know that I appreciate you coming, and that I want God's blessings to pour over you and your family. I want you to have happiness and health and well-being, and I want you to have peace, God's peace. That is more priceless than anything is the peace that God gives. So I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.